Good evening, everybody. Here we are just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the PAPA headquarters. We're doing another night of some live gameplay videos. We still don't have a name for this. Mark, what should we call this?
I actually just kind of made, I took some of the suggestions on Pinside. It was, someone said it's called PAPAtv Live, and that seemed like the easiest thing to do, so that's what we're calling it.
Live from Papa, it's TV.
Wow.
I don't know.
As viewership skyrockets, we're trying to figure out our name.
Yeah. Well, when we hit 200, we'll be doing really well.
Well, John, what do we got in store this week?
Well, this week we have 4 games to play. We got an A-list title. We got Tron, and we're going to be featuring our friend Al Tomk on it. We have Centaur, Coney Island, which is sort of a game you don't see every day. It's a game plan game from 1979. And then a favorite of mine, Bally Mystic, which is the game with the most beautiful back glass in the world. First, let's talk about the Replay Effects Festival.
Awesome segue. Yeah.
Only the best. Only the best.
Yeah, things are going well. There's still, I'd say, 20 to 25 $42 booths left for vendors. So if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you do that. They've been coming in pretty steadily since we announced everything. This is part of the flyer that you're looking at right here. It was made by John Chad. We're going to have a series of flyers over the next year. If you don't know what the Replay Effects Arcade and Gaming Festival is, this is going to be the festival that the Papa crew is holding at the Convention Center in downtown Pittsburgh at the end of next summer. And it's going to include Pinburg. Pinburg's going to be expanded to 700 players.
Wow.
Prize pool is going to be $100,000, and yeah, it's going to be the biggest pinball tournament in history. It's going to be a big deal, and it's just going to be a part of this overall classic gaming festival. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. One of the things that we've had to do since we started, since we announced this, is to accumulate games. And that basically means that my house has turned into a giant console gaming repository at this point. This is Anastasia. She's part of the Papa crew, looking over a recent Xbox purchase.
She doesn't look happy there, Mark. Maybe I'm missing something.
No, I mean that's her living room.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, it's basically at this point it's just accumulating games because one of the ideas is in addition to pinball, we're going to have console games and arcade games, and we have to buy these. So we're in a position now where we're accumulating console stuff, and we have to go through every single one of these games and clean off the contacts so that you don't get like the Nintendo red blinky light, and so they work and organize them. And we're gonna have a checkout booth, so people are gonna be able to come to the festival, and if they want to play a game, they can check it out, play it on one of the 70 consoles or whatever we're gonna have set up, and and then play their game and then turn it back in. And then in addition to that, we've been accumulating arcade games and whatnot, and tabletop games too. There's going to be anyone who's a fan of board games or tabletop games. There's going to be a whole bunch of those. This, if you want to follow along, you can go to replayeffects.org. That's the website, and the Facebook account is where we update our game purchases. And this is actually the collection of console games that came in yesterday. It's half of the second batch. I think there's a couple boxes waiting for me right now at the house. So yeah.
Wow, you could look at a list of that and not really appreciate it, but when you have the pictures just like you do there, that's a lot of games, man.
It's a ton of stuff. It takes up a lot of space, and I can't tell you. One of the things that's been most frustrating is making sure all the discs work. Cutting to the PlayStation 2 games. Every single one of those is like a 2-minute video at the beginning of it that you have to watch before you get to the game, and it's got people's logos like shooting through space and exploding just to show you how great these PlayStation 2 graphics are. Yeah, so like
only the best.
The last 12 hours, for the last 2 months, I spend like 6 hours a day just watching people's logos fade in and out and explode and everything. It's pretty ridiculous.
Have you been sitting there just blowing on Nintendo games? I mean, that's what we always used to do. You sit there and go.
Yeah, one of the things that I found out was One of the things I found out was that blowing in them is actually terrible for them.
Is it?
Yeah, you have to get a Q-tip and dip it in alcohol and then wipe it off. And then also a big thing that goes wrong with the Nintendo games is the 72-pin connector in the actual Nintendo unit. You can replace those with just a Phillips. It's not a big deal. But yeah, and they're pretty cheap too. They only cost like $10 for a new connector. And if you clean off your games with alcohol swab and then replace the connector, they pretty much work all the time. I will say though that I've cleaned off a whole lot of disgusting stuff from the contacts.
I can only imagine 25, 30 years worth of disgusting.
Yeah.
Hey, why is Fred up in the scissor lift?
That's a good question, John. I'm actually up here putting up Kaylee's banner for recently winning Papa 17 here at the Papa facility here in Pittsburgh. So I just put the finishing touches of putting up his banner. Congratulations, Kaylee. Awesome play.
Yep.
And hopefully one of these days I'll get my name up here, but I seriously doubt it. And we'll see what happens.
So I discovered whenever we were making this banner, I was talking to Kaylee about it, and Kaylee apparently has like 6 names. I can't remember what they are. I think Kaylee is like his second first name or a middle name or something. I'm not sure exactly how it works. And we were originally going to draw it up and put his entire name on the banner, but it just totally didn't fit. It was really difficult to do. So Kaylee, if you're looking up at it wondering why your full name isn't up there, very sorry. All we could fit is Kaylee George.
That's how I've always known Kaylee as. I mean,
yeah,
Kaylee George.
I mean, I'm not going to be in the position to tell someone what their name is. If they want to put the
very fair
full thing on the banner, then we're going to give it a shot. But yeah, I drew it up and I took it down to Copies on Carson down in Pittsburgh, and they, it didn't work. It was smaller than the Seattle below his name.
So Fred, why don't you get down from up there? I mean,
I kind of like the view up here, but yeah, I'll come down.
I mean, you could be looming over Al the entire time while he's playing.
I actually had that idea for the intro to Papa, or to the last Pinburg, where I was going to be harnessed above like Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible and loom from the ceiling down, but that was nixed at the last minute. So I'm going to come down now.
We take the utmost safety precautions here at Papa. We only have experienced professionals.
People thought I was tall before.
So,
okay, I'm down.
So Al, how you doing tonight?
Alrighty.
You ready to play some pinball?
I believe so.
All right. Well, do you feel like you're a good Tron player? I mean, are you going to explain some super secrets to us?
Tron isn't a really difficult game, so I don't know about some super secrets, but I can explain my thought process as I bang the balls around.
All right, sounds good, man. Why don't you fire it up and just give us a second to get the cameras over to you, and we'll have you start off. What's your initial strategy when you're firing up the machine?
Since Tron, the skill shot isn't really worth a ton of points, I pretty much always use the super skill. Hold over the left flipper, it'll come up, feed, try to make the upper ramp. Gives you bigger points. That also gets you started towards your end of the line jackpots, which, can really be, they can add up a lot. They add up across the ball. They get larger and larger, and it's basically a combo shot into the hole. So I'm going to try to take the super skill and then go for the end of the line right off the bat.
Sounds good, man. I'd just like to remind all the viewers, ask your questions in the chat. We'll take a look at them, and if it's good, we're going to pass it on to Al and see what he's got to say about it.
So, John, walk me through a basic Tron strategy here.
Well,
what am I looking at whenever I'm looking at the play field? I mean, the first thing that I always ask myself when I walk up to a game is, what in the world do all the flashing lights mean? Tron, it's a new Stern. It's got a lot of them.
Sure.
Make sense of them for me.
Okay, well, generally when I'm looking at this in a tournament situation, I'm looking at first the light cycle multi-ball. And the first time you walk up to the machine, you have to hit 4 of the light cycle shots to light your first light cycle multi-ball, which Al has just done, and now he started it. Light cycle is a 2-ball multi-ball, and it is also stackable with the other I would say, other main multi-ball of the game, which is the Cora multi-ball. And the Cora multi-ball is, wow, that was a nice shot, Al.
Don't see that up.
No, double ramp. The Cora multi-ball is, there's a little green flashing light up near the top, right next to the left ramp. And if you hit that around there, what is it, 5 times, I think, Mark?
5 or 6, I can't remember.
It's 5? Okay. And you hit that 5 times, that'll start a Cora multi-ball at the same place where you started the light cycle multi-ball. You can stack those 2 multi-balls together. So when you're in the light cycle multi-ball, the idea is you want to try to get a super jackpot, which will actually complete the light. And you do that by hitting 3 of the light cycle shots in a row as a combo.
So you can use light cycle to start the Cora multi-ball. Can you use Cora to start the light cycle multi-ball?
Yes. Same exact thing. There's a third main multi-ball in the game, which is the recognizer multi-ball, or the disc multi-ball, whichever you want to call it. And that's started by pounding down the center targets and then hitting the spinning disc, I think, 8 times.
So there, I missed my super skill shot. It wanted to auto plunge it, but I interrupted that because Flynn's Arcade was still lit for a mystery award. So instead, in letting it auto plunge, I actually did a plunge myself and used the gate to get it in there. That's the regular skill shot as well. Once you try for the super, the regular skill shot points are gone, but your mystery award is still collectible.
Hey Al, I got a question here from the audience, and they ask, what is the advantage of plunging the side ramp skill shot? It says it doesn't seem to be worth more than hitting the hole in the right.
It is. It's $250 for a base for your regular skill. It's $300 for the base for your super. Those points aren't really the big point of it. It's being able to set up towards your next shot while you have a ball save into your end of the line. So that's where you're gonna get your additional points from.
Why don't you explain what end of the line is?
End of the line is it's basically a combo points. You have to make to light it the upper ramp, but your shots before that will build a combo value that'll display on the screen. The more combos that you make, the bigger it is, and that'll carry throughout the ball in play. So if you make one, it starts at 500,000. So if I started off and I make the upper ramp and then I put it in, and it's got to be immediate. The game does not allow much time. You put it immediately into the Flynn's Arcade hole, and it's going to give you that end of the line bonus. It starts at 500,000, then it's I want to say 8, 1.2. It increases very quickly as you make larger combo shots leading up to it. So like a good one would be to do something like right loop, upper ramp, feed it again, upper ramp. That gives you a 4-way, put it in there. You're already collecting 1.7, 2.2 mil just off that end of the line. So it can be really big points.
Cool. Why don't you show us some of that?
Well, because right now I'm going to try to do some other multi-balls. I already used my light cycle multi-ball. And if we're trying to show the game, you really want to complete your shots on the middle of the playfield. All of those are different modes or scoring opportunities that you're trying to start and ultimately complete. So you got Flynn, Gem, Clue, Zeus, Cora, Disc, or Disc Battle, whatever you want to call it, Light Cycle, the Recognizer, your Tron, and then Portal is your final mode. So what I'm going to try to do is start all those modes, and I'm ready to make shots on the center towards my Disc War. And it'll show me I'm now going to have, I believe, 6 more shots left to start that.
4 more. But close. I mean, 365 more shots, Al.
That also said that I have 1 more towards Cora, which is that inner loop that I just missed.
So, Al, I have to ask, with all these different things going on, it sounds incredibly complicated. What do you focus on? Because you're obviously not trying to do everything all at once. So what's your priority now that you've fallen out of Light Cycle? What do you do next?
I'm trying to build towards another multi-ball. Multi-ball is going to give me a ball save. It's going to open me up for big scoring with jackpots. It's going to allow me to build towards starting one of the other multi-balls. So I really want to earn that ball save and that opportunity for points.
So I see you shooting at the Recognizer. Do you prefer to go towards that over Cora, or is it just whatever happens to be most convenient at the time?
It's kind of a combination of both. The disc war is an easy shot from either flipper, so it's kind of convenient regardless of where it goes. It also has a somewhat, depending on how sticky the spinning disc in there is, pretty reliable feed. So it's usually controllable to repeat, whereas Cora, once you put it up around there, you're now trying for the ramp shot to get it back into a known controllable spot. While I'm in Disc War, all the little blue shots are going to give me points, but to really complete it, I'm going for the middle, and it's going to tell me how many shots I have left to do that each time I make that shot.
Isn't it a common practice, though, Al, to try not to complete it?
Not for me.
What would be the benefit of that, John?
Well, on the with the code update on Tron, there's always a restart on the disc multi-ball.
Which I'm going to now utilize. Hopefully.
So by not finishing it, it's similar to some other games where by not collecting a jackpot, you can focus on other things and then utilize the restart just to maximize the time that you're in multi-ball.
Right. I mean, also you get a ball save when you restart it. So he had another.
There's my super. So I have now completed the disc war. So you'll notice that center insert is actually solidly lit. That means that task towards Portal, which is the end of the game, has been achieved. So at this point, I'm just going to collect some more points.
You're going to try to bank a shot off a Tron to get it in the gem?
That is nice. There are people that utilize that. The gem shot is notoriously difficult. Unless you have a very slow feed to your upper flipper where you can really make it, it's really hard to hit that off the top of the upper flipper on the fly. So there is people who believe in the strategy to bank off kind of the middle of the Tron targets off the lower right flipper, and you can sometimes bank it up in there to get that. Gem is generally the hardest thing to start and achieve to get towards your Portal multi-ball.
Right. So completing gem is actually one of the priorities if you want to get a high score on a Sea of a Simulation, or if you want to get a high score on Tron, because once you get past gem, all the other ones ramp up at much higher point values once for your Sea of Simulation collect, but they're also a lot easier to complete. So
yes, correct.
It's sort of the log jam of Tron, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it has stopped me from achieving Portal more times than I really want to think about or admit.
All right, guys, back up for a second here, John. I hear you talking about all the center lights that you have to collect and all the different modes and things you have to do. And I've also heard someone mention Sea of Simulation. So this seems like a good time to talk about what that is. Why don't you explain to the people who don't know?
Sea of Simulation. Basically, Sea of Simulation is the pre-wizard mode. If Portal is your wizard mode, Tron gives you an opportunity to get to Portal if you haven't completed all the modes. And so once you have started and gone through all the modes once, which can be all the multi-balls and all the other stuff Al explained, you get to start Sea of Simulation by hitting the arcade machine on the right. At same place where you finish the end of line combos.
And you can track your progress by looking at the straight line of inserts going right up the playfield. So at this point,
he's almost there.
I see Gem is that the only thing he doesn't have yet for Sea of Simulation?
Right. If he would get Gem started, he would be able to start a Sea of Simulation.
Okay.
So
but it would be a bad time to do that because I don't have hardly anything completed. Most importantly, I don't have Gem completed. And that's going to be my holdup if I get there, if I start it, because it's really a difficult mode to complete.
So what's the benefit of getting to Sea of Simulation? Why would someone want to do that?
Well, Sea of Simulation gives you the opportunity to complete all the modes that you did not complete beforehand, and you get to try that in one ball play. So, for example, let's say he didn't have his light cycle completed, which, as a matter of fact, he doesn't. It's flashing yellow. He would get a chance in single ball play to shoot the 3 shots in the combo, like I was talking about earlier, to complete the light cycle. For Gem, you have to I forget exactly.
You have to start the mode by making, I believe the first time through, it's 2 times you have to make that Gem shot. And then it's kind of a hurry-up mode. It gives you some time to complete it. And you just basically have to make that shot again to achieve it.
I mean, worst case scenario, we'll get to a point here on the that will pull the glass off and actually trigger the gem. But I want to see you do it naturally if we can.
I have confidence in Al. Looking at what he's done here on just game one, walking up to it, I think we play a couple games, we'll be able to see it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So what's this mode here? This is Clue?
This is Clue. So each one of those little masks is a Clue shot. So I got to complete them. There's one. Left loop. Oh, missed that. The hole. Right loop. Oh. Yeah.
So, John, how does Tron stand in the pantheon of pinball games? Is this a well-received game, or is this something that players tend to avoid?
I'd say in the modern Sterns, it's very well received. So Stern put out the limited edition Tron and the regular Tron Pro, which we have the Tron Pro here at the Papa facility. Limited edition Trons are going for, I'd say, around $10,000 at the current time. I mean, everybody wants to have the LE of this particular game. So people are happy with this game overall.
Uh,
What are the differences between the Pro and the LE?
I can speak on that. One of my friends actually has an LE. The ramps have electroluminescent wire around them, and it changes colors based on the mode. So blue for disc, yellow for the light cycle, green for Cora, red for Flynn and Recognizer and the sort. There's also another 2-ball multi-ball, Daft Punk multi-ball that you can achieve. The sound package is different. Those are the most notable differences. One thing that I don't like is I haven't seen an update to the LE software that allows you to restart your Disc War multi-ball. So you get one shot at it, and considering you're hitting the wall several times to get it down, then you're making 6, 7 shots to start it. It's really an arduous task to get to it, and then if you run out of ball save and you lose a couple balls, it's over, and there's no chance to say, hey, let me salvage it and bring that back.
I know some people say that you can do the gem on the plunge.
It is. I was actually going to mention that, and I was going to try it a little bit later. For those that are familiar with something like a Monopoly, it's a very similar shot where you just kind of want it to exit the actual defined shooter lane and kind of run out of oomph as it gets up there. Well, I thought that was going to bounce. So you just kind of wanted to get it to run out of oomph right at the top, and you can get it to just drop and hit that switch. The gem shot is only triggered by this one switch located on the inside of that turn. So I'll actually try that here. I don't have it down. I plunge by feel. A lot of people like using the meter on the game and looking at it. That's great for learning that particular machine and learning where it's at. I go strictly by feel. I don't look at it. I go by how tense the spring is and just kind of knowing how far I think it'll shoot the ball.
One of the things that I hear a lot from new pinball players is the questions. They ask me if you're allowed to nudge the game, and this is one of those areas. Short plunging gem is one of the areas where nudging may not seem obvious, but a lot of players will help that short plunge over onto the gem switch by giving the game a little bang up on the upper right side of it, just as it's dribbling off of that area Al was talking about.
When Mark says little bang, he means a heavy-hitted smack.
Yeah, they're 300-pound game boxes that are meant to be pushed around a little bit. So don't be scared of giving it a smack. If you move it too hard, the game will tilt, and that's your limit. But there's definitely a lot of instances whenever you're playing pinball where you can nudge or smack the machine whenever the game's not even, or whenever the ball's not even down by the outlanes.
That was an attempt at it, and poor attempt at that.
So joining us on the mic, Mark, Chris Stevens, who we featured last week play. Chris, you're quite a good Tron player, aren't you?
Hello, and I'd like to think I'm pretty decent at Tron.
Out in Colorado, I watched Chris put up, almost 300 million points on a Tron in a tournament situation.
Oh yeah, that Tron at the one-up in Colorado.
What was the losing score of that game?
150 million, I believe.
That was Brian Shepard
Yeah.
on the most unlucky game to meet Chris on in his life.
Oh,
and,
poor
and,
Brian
and Brian
Shepard.
put up a really great game, too.
He played it just as well as I did, but was not able to string it together like I was able to.
So you were mentioning something about the inlanes a few minutes ago.
Oh, yes. One thing I've noticed while Al was playing is whenever he was discussing the clue shots, there are 4 shots that you need to make. But you can actually earn yourself a clue shot while you're in the clue mode by spelling clue with the inlanes.
I did forget to mention that. Thanks for pointing that out. That is a nice way to earn one that you're having difficulty mating.
Especially like the one that seems to be left behind the most, which is that right orbit through the pop bumpers. You could ultimately cradle on the right and hit the ramp on the left 3 times to collect the inlanes to finish clue.
I never actually thought of doing that.
Chris, what's your strategy walking up to a Tron?
Immediately get light cycle. Once I'm in light cycle, I don't even bother going for jackpots, to be honest. After that, I want to try to get comfortable with Cora. If I can get comfortable with Cora after I'm in the middle of the light cycle, then the game really opens up for me. If I can start both at the same time, the points will come, and those are the main shots that I would like to make to actually get the points that I think I need to qualify and put up a good score or beat another player.
Hey, Chris, there's a question for you. Did you score a 100 million point portal bonus in that game?
I did not. I believe I only got the 50. I didn't start double scoring until after I was in the middle of Portal Multiball. But I definitely thought of starting the double scoring prior to. But had it not been a tournament game, I probably would have felt a little greedy and went for it. Also, I think I ended up with a 54 million bonus, and I was half tempted to start double bonus and then drain on purpose to collect the double of what my final bonus was, which would have been over 100 million.
That actually is one thing that I do not like about the rule set of Tron. And in fact, it's benefited me in a tournament setting when I played this at Fairfax against Andy Rosa. It was a very closely contested game, and he actually had double scoring running. And those people in the audience that were watching were aware of what his bonus was. And because it was doubled, when you get double scoring, it doubles everything, including your bonus points. It actually encourages, at that point, draining sometimes. His bonus was big enough to win with the double scoring, and he in fact ran out of the double scoring time just before losing his ball, which then caused him to lose the match. So that's one thing I don't actually like about the rule set. I don't like any game that encourages you to drain a ball, regardless of what the situation is.
That's pretty interesting. There's an old game, I think it's made by Williams, called Swinger. And
Swinger.
I knew you were going there.
yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about draining for points, it's
Yeah.
got to go to Swinger. And there's a little meter that basically moves back, or a little target that moves back and forth on the game, and where it is when you drain will determine the amount of points you get. And the way the scores work on Swinger, if you drain at the right time on all 3 balls, you're going to put up a pretty devastating score for against someone who doesn't know that and actually tries to hit shots and plays the game.
We got a request to turn up the volume for the music for the next game on Tron, so I'm going to actually do that when we
I'll tell you what,
take a
John,
break.
you keep talking. I'll run down and I'll take care of that. I got the keys.
Sounds good. So, anybody in the audience have any questions for Al on Tron so far? Or does everybody understand Tron? Maybe Tron is one that a lot of people feel like they know the rules to.
I know it's been used a lot in tournament settings recently, so I feel like those people that are playing in tournaments would probably know a little bit better because you've seen it, I have at least, rather regularly.
No, I think it's a pretty good tournament game. It's fairly balanced, and the scoring is reasonable for the most part.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't feel like there's anything that's completely broken. So here's for the request of turning up the volume. We're going to turn it up a little bit. Sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good, Mark. Let's see if we can get you guys a little better sound. Welcome back.
Programmer.
I guess
Still can't-
that's
I
Al.
Still can't find that gem plunge. It really is difficult. I very rarely ever use that when I'm playing. It is a known strategy, but it's just not in my repertoire at this point.
Generally, when I walk up to Tron for ball one, I'm looking to actually plunge, hard plunge, so it falls back and hits the spinner, and I get my first credit for the light cycle.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start.
Did you already explain that, Al, or did I? Maybe I missed that.
No, I usually take the super skill. I like the
Okay.
super skill to the end of the line jackpot, actually.
All right, yeah. So, and let me explain briefly why I like to go for the right spinner plunge. If you do the right spinner, and what that is if you just pull the plunger as hard as you can, it's going to go up, and the post is going to pop up right above the gem shot, and it's going to force it to come back through that spinner, which is going to give you credit for that right shot. Probably you have a ball save on at this point, and then you're 3 shots away from light cycle. So you might say, well, so what? Well, what I like to do is get it on the right flipper from there, hit the left ramp, hit the Quora shot, hit the upper ramp, and then put it in the end of the line combo to start a multi-ball on the second set of
Very
shots.
fast way to start that.
I feel awesome when I do it, and I really feel like I'm going to have a great game if I start a game that way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like starting off as strong as that, it's going to make you feel good and even more confident whenever you're playing.
There was a nice end of the line there. That was 1.7 million, so that was, a quarter of my points right there, just off that combo shot. So you can see how that can, particularly in a game where, tournament, you don't have rubbers on the out lanes, your tilt's relatively tight. Those points can be really valuable for that quick and easy shot to the hole.
As Steve Bowden says, you got to get paid, and the end of the line is the ultimate way of getting paid.
I do like getting paid.
Gosh, that could have gone wrong.
What are you aiming for right now, Al? Are you looking to get your Quora?
No, I'm not at this point. I completed a gem shot, which is the second time through for light cycle, one of your hardest shots to get. So I can get another light cycle here if I just make these the ramp and the left loop.
Ah, I see.
Just to answer the question that Rutan asked on the feed, the question is, what goes on during Portal? Well, we haven't gotten there yet. We fully intend to, but
Yeah.
It's not even close to an every game type of occurrence. I have, in my time of playing this game since it came out, made it to Portal 3 times, I believe.
actually, you know what? I'm actually rethinking that. Do we really want to show people what Portal is? I mean, that's sort of like the ultimate spoiler.
I actually have
If I
a.
get there, I want to.
I have a comment on this. Over the last, well, not this past summer, but the summer before, I spent hours down here at the PAPA facility making the gameplay videos. And getting to Portal was my nemesis. I wanted to desperately get it on camera. And I can't tell you how many times, I just came up one short and I actually broke my toe because I was just 1 or 2 shots away at one point, and Temper got a hold of me, and I turned around and I kicked my toolbox, which at the time I thought was empty, and it turns out it was absolutely full of everything and didn't go nearly as far as I thought it would.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So anyway, I would like to see vengeance done on this machine, and if he can get the Portal, then I say do it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the question is, do we pull the glass off and go to Portal?
No, you got to get there.
No.
You
gotta earn Portal.
Okay. So we're all in agreement. We'll teach you how to get there. We'll tell you what happens. Well, actually, I'm not going to tell you what happens when you get there, but we'll teach you how, and then you got to go do it. Now, if you want us to try something specific, hit a Tron target and see what it combos into, that's a different story. You want us to take the glass off and, try something else, sure.
So I'm now in Quora. During Quora, you have really 2 tasks. One is to hit the wall when it's up 3 times, and you can do that twice to add a ball to your play and a ball saver. So you can actually get this 2-ball multi-ball up to where I now have it as a 4-ball multi-ball. You also have the task of trying to collect jackpots, and most importantly, the super jackpot. The super jackpot is, again, that difficult gem shot on that upper loop. And you just need to do that once, and it'll complete. I tried for the bank shot, so close. Try it again. It's a little bit harder with that flipper up.
Stage that flipper, Al.
So what Chris, or CDs as we call him here, is referring to is allowing my upper flipper to drop like that. So if you very slightly let go of the flipper, you can actually independently control your lower and your upper flipper on games like this. So he was referring to stage it, meaning drop it down, use my lower right to throw one up around, and then independently control the upper to make it. CDs is great at that. One of the things that he's terrific at is multi-ball control and making shots during multi-ball. He definitely far exceeds me in that manner. I actually am going to try, since we wanted to see the bank shot anyways, I'm going to try to accomplish this with a bank. Again, it is a little bit more difficult when you have that flipper up. There's a little less room for error at that point.
Chris, are you going to be playing any games for us today?
Hopefully I will get the chance to.
Are we going to get to see your magic on Coney Island?
Ooh.
Oh, man. That's definitely some kind of magic, all right.
It's a kind of
Dark
magic.
So now I'm just going to go for my other multi-ball. I haven't started it yet. I have disc war. The wall is down. I've completed the recognizer shots. So now I'm just going to go for that middle.
He's also one shot away to relighting his life cycle.
So that would be an interesting situation in case he drained for some reason, which he's threatening to do right now. Then he could actually just plunge to light cycle. Well, as it is, he's getting close to the recognizer.
It's actually disc war. The recognizer on this game is actually the wall. That's confused a lot.
Oh.
The recognizer is actually the wall in front of your center disc shot.
Well, thank you, Al. Actually, I didn't know. Oh, look at that gem throw. And gem has started now at this point, so he is in the gem mode. And he'd really love to bring a multi-ball.
That shot into play, right there. Right there, ladies and gentlemen.
What is he talking about?
I have no idea. He's out.
He was
Tomka.
able to get his gem finished by shooting the gem shot.
I know, and that is huge. So when he gets out of this multi-ball, he's actually going to be ready for Sea of Simulation.
Most importantly, I have that gem done, completed. So each mode that you have complete when you start is going to give me bonus points. Flynn's 1,000,000, Gem is 2, Clue is 3, Zeus is 4. I have all 4 of those modes completed. I also have Light Cycle, the Recognizer, and Tron completed. That leaves me only with collecting a Cora Super Jackpot and the Disc War Multi-Ball Jackpot, Super Jackpot. If I complete those 2, I then light the hole again to start Portal. Again, I've done this like 3 times in the time I've played Tron, so hopefully we're not jinxing it here.
Hey, Al, before you start flipping again, I have an option I want to see what you would think about. Ultimately, you're talking about starting your Sea of Simulation.
Mm-hmm.
If you start double scoring, how you said that the first one, Flynn, is 1,000,000, and then after that it increases by 1.
Yeah, for each shot.
Will the double scoring affect your Sea of Simulation start?
Good question, actually, whoever's in the audience. Good thinking. And again, like I mentioned, it's one thing that I do not like about this rule set. It actually will. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 million just for starting that in double scoring.
Wow, that sounds like the only way to do it.
It's also an all or none strategy.
Why is it a none?
Because it's not easy.
Because you're trying to have so double scoring, super bumpers, and super spinners are all lit by these Tron targets on the left.
Sure.
Right now, bumpers is lit. So if I were to complete Tron, I would get super bumpers. I believe it is the pops that change that, what's lit. So you not only have to have it lit on double scoring, you then have to complete the Tron, and then while I'm in the timing, which if you notice up here on the display, there's 3 lines. A lot of people that don't know Tron
3
are like,
bars.
what are these 3 lines here at the bottom of the display? The 3 lines at the bottom of the display, all these modes, double scoring, bumpers, and spinners, are all timed modes, and each one of these lines represents your timer left on that mode. The most important one to remember, it goes from top to bottom, left to right. So double scoring, bumpers, spinners. So if I'm ready for Portal, I now have to get it on double scoring, I now have to complete the Tron targets, and then make the shot into the hole while I still have timer. You know, do you want to miss that shot? Not really.
Well, Al, why don't you just go ahead and try to do it normally then?
All right, I'm going to try to collect this super jackpot, so that's one more thing I would then have crossed off the list to be able to get the Portal. If you notice what I just did there, that's known as a drop catch. That's where you hold the flipper up until right at the moment the ball would be hitting it in the up position and letting it down.
What's a flipper?
Okay. So apparently everyone has watched Pinball 101 and understands these basic skills, but those who haven't, it's a good skill to learn because, as you notice, it allows me to regain control of a ball that's kind of out of control during multi-ball play.
That's actually a great shout out. Pinball 101 is an instructional video made by the Elwyn team. Keith being a multi-time world champion, and his brother Randy, who is pretty much just an electronics genius. Randy's actually, I think he's the first person to ever come up with pinball cam over the rig. I know a lot of what we do here was based off of some stuff that he taught us, so much thanks to them. And if you ever get a chance, try and find Pinball 101. I think it's available for download off iTunes at this point. And Pinball 102 is, rumor has it, coming somewhat soon.
Yeah, I recently saw, I don't know whether there was an ad for that or somebody was posted something about Pinball 102
Yeah,
coming out.
they released some Jurassic Park gameplay.
Oh, no!
So
It's okay, Al. You have double scoring ready. Just hit the O.
about a minute ago, Al made a mistake when he was
Uh-oh.
at the end of his multi-ball.
There's the double scoring.
Get it in there. Yes.
There it is.
Let's see what happens.
So
I'm expecting 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Excellent.
So now you have to do them in order. So it's going to start me at Cora. So now I need to make the Cora jackpot shot. That's what's lit. There is also another little trick here while you're in Sea of Simulation to get towards completion. If you have Flynn's Arcade lit, it will actually credit you towards whatever task you're trying to accomplish. Usually it's Gem. So if you have that lit, that's a great way to kind of cheat your way through Gem and move on. But right now I have Cora, and that's all I have, so we're going to try to do that, not screw this up.
get her done.
No! No!
Nice nudging,
It's a
Al.
great save.
Man.
Thank God we have Al mic'd up for that. All right, so he's got the Quora done. So now he needs to make the 5 shots here.
He has to hit all 5 shots, or he can shoot the disc
Middle,
shot
completed.
up the middle to award him a shot.
Oh, so he doesn't actually have to hit the gem
No,
shot, which
He
would
does
be
not.
No, I can repeatedly use the center shot to complete this mode.
all right. So
He has 2 shots remaining.
will gem be next completed? Okay,
Yes.
gem's completed. And so one more shot there.
No! No! No!
He now has Portal lit. He needs to shoot the arcade to get it.
So how many times have you had Rule the Universe lit in your life and, you brick that shot?
No bricks here, gentlemen! We're not building houses, we're playing pinball!
Nice job, Al. Nice job.
So you wanted to see it? No glass, we're not removing glass. We're making shots and collecting points here tonight, gentlemen.
Would you like me to explain what is going on while you're
Spoiler alert, by the way. Go ahead, Chris. Why don't you explain what's going on with
All
Portal?
right. Right now, he is in a very large multi-ball with very large scoring potential. As you see, every single shot is blinking. It is ready for a jackpot. If you complete a shot, and by complete I mean hit that shot to the amount of times to make every, I guess, icon behind it solid instead of blinking, that will then give you an add-a-ball, and you have completed that shot.
And so what happens if you complete all the shots?
If you complete all the shots, I don't know. I was one shot away multiple times,
Oh, my.
and I built houses.
So at this point, is he falling back into regular play?
He is
I am
now
back
out.
to the start of everything, unfortunately.
Now, is it truly the start of everything? Is light cycle back to the regular number of shots, or is it still?
No, it does. It does make things a little bit more difficult for you your other times through, but I don't have any task accomplished towards getting anywhere at this point.
Well, Al, congratulations on making it to Portal, man. That's awesome.
I was
Yeah,
really
that's fantastic.
concerned when I was asked to come play that, I would look like I've never played pinball in my life. So doing something like reaching Portal when I've only done it, a handful of times ever, feels good. I'm glad people got to see that.
Where'd you learn how to play pinball, Al?
I started playing pinball, actually my first pinball experience was at a bowling alley when I was like 9 years old, and I was in a bowling league. My mom would take me there early and drop me off, and they had a high speed game back in the corner, and I would play the crap out of that game. I then didn't touch pinball again until I was in college. Attack from Mars was new at the time. They had one in the dorms. I didn't live in the dorms, but I ate there, and I owned that machine. ALT was in the initials of that throughout my Penn State experience.
Hey, so Al, are you saying you're pretty good at high speed?
Yeah, we've got one here for you. to
So
try.
why don't you stop playing, Al? I mean, everybody's gotten you've got 120 million points on
let him
ball.
finish his game. Put his
He's
initials
feeling
up.
it.
Oh,
You gotta
my-
let him go.
Yeah, this is
yeah.
ball one.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just had an interesting idea on high speed.
No, we do have something for you to try whenever you're done here, Al. But I'm actually interested in your progression, learning how to play the game. You're a member of the Pittsburgh Pinball League, is that correct?
Yes, I am. I am actually the only person who has ever played in every single season up to this point, throughout the time that it's been around.
How many seasons is that?
This is our 21st season that will be starting here this week, actually tomorrow. There's 3 seasons in a year, so that's about 7 years.
Is there something about league play that keeps you coming back, that you like it?
Competition, I am an ultra competitive person in pretty much everything I do. So I like the competition. I like getting together and getting other people that are excited about pinball and talking about pinball and playing together. It's just a great time.
I just keep coming back to Pittsburgh Pinball League just so I can beat Al.
That sounds like fighting
speaking
words.
of which, John does have 4 Pittsburgh Pinball League championships under his belt.
Gosh, I think somebody has more than that.
I do. I believe I have 5. So, but anyways, I was playing then at my second kind of come around to pinball in college, and then again I didn't touch it for a good few years. Because at that point, by the year 2000, pinball had really suffered the hit from the arcades, and operators were no longer trying to operate pinball. It was much more profitable and less work to operate arcade games. So you just didn't see him around. And I met a friend through a friend, and I actually knew the kid for about a year. And we were just hanging out at his house one day. We were both into electronics. We had both worked at Radio Shack, and we're both kind of like electronics nerds. And we were just talking about all the things we had in common. And he was like, "Hey, do you like pinball?" I was like, "Oh my God, I love pinball." And he's like, "Well, why don't we play some?" And I was like, "Great. Where are we gonna go? Is there a laundromat around here or what?" And the kid took me down into his basement where he had 16 machines. And I was blown away. I mean, I was completely flabbergasted by this. I couldn't believe that someone in their 20s has a pinball parlor in their basement. And at the time, again, I was into electronics and gaming, so I had a couple arcade games in my house. That week, I sold them, and I picked up my first pinball machine. And then there it progressed. Once you start buying machines, they multiply. You start getting more.
What was your first machine that you bought right then and there?
My first pinball machine was a Heavy Metal Meltdown. It's a very not well-known game. It's older. It's a 8603 series game. Its claim to fame is, it had a 5-ball multi-ball, which back then was kind of like outrageous. And it was known because every shot has a guitar riff associated with it that, it'll play for each shot. So you kind of, jam on the guitar with it. I bought the game. I fixed it up. I had it for 7 days and kind of became bored with it in my house.
7 days?
7 days. I bought it on a weekend. By the next weekend, I had taken it all apart, fixed it all up, made it like new. It played awesome. And I put it back up for sale. And when I put it back up for sale, it was only on eBay for, 5 minutes or something. And someone had bought it, buy it now. And I was actually kind of surprised, that it sold so quick, and I was a little bit nervous too, because I had read about, be very careful selling pinball machines online. People come, they take them, then they say they don't work, and all of a sudden they're making a claim, and they want their money back. Meanwhile, they have your game, and there's nothing you can do. So this guy buys it, he comes to my house. I force him to actually come and look at it in person and play it so that, he knows exactly what he's getting. He comes, he's like, it's excellent. I wanted to buy it last week. I usually never lose an auction, but you beat me to it. I can't believe that you're selling it for $200 more after you shopped it all out. I'm sold. So he came, he took the game, and he told me he lived about an hour away. And an hour and a half later, I get a call. It's this gentleman. And he says, hey, I just got the game home. I unloaded it. You're really not going to believe this. I plugged it in. It made a popping sound, and nothing works on it. And I was like, okay. So what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, you fixed it all up, so obviously you know what you're doing with these games. Is there any way you could fix it for me? And I was like, well, it was sold as is. You came, you played it. You know what it is. I don't know what you did to it after you left. So I don't know that really I can be responsible for whatever happened to it. He's like, no, I understand. You're right. And I'm more than happy to pay you, but I know nothing about fixing them. I was really excited to get this game, and I just wanted to play it, and I really couldn't. Could you please help me out? I was like, all right, we'll work something out. He's like, all right, I'll meet you. I was like, you'll meet me? He's like, well, you can come tonight, right? At this point, it's like 9:30 at night. I'm like, don't you live like an hour away? He's like, yeah, but, it's the weekend. Come on, isn't there any way I'll pay you, please? So I'm like, all right. So I go, I meet this guy, and he lives like up in the mountains. We drive to his place, and, he's got this dirt road that leads up like a half-mile driveway into this path. There's no cell phone signal whatsoever anywhere around here. My parents don't know where I'm at. No one knows where I'm at. And all I'm thinking is, this is some bad news waiting to happen.
This is how it all ends.
This is how it ends. And,
there will be no more ALT initials.
no more ALT initials. And I pull up. We get to a clearing, and we get to this large building, and we go in, and there's like 50 games in this place. And I was like, so you said you had a few games, like you didn't say you had like 50. And the gentleman's like, well, I don't exactly, throw it all out there like that, but yeah, I do have several. Another super jackpot for us. And he and I have been friends ever since. I fixed the game. It turned out that he had just, shorted something out, blew out a bunch of fuses. We got him set back up and fixed up. And we've been friends ever since.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the person you're talking about is actually fairly well known. Is there a reason you're not saying his name?
Not really, I guess, at this point. He is fairly well known.
They've already said it in the chat, so just so you know.
Okay, so then everyone out there knows. His name's Ron Schuster. He's an awesome guy. He has a big party, usually right before Papa, which just happened.
Ron's a fantastic guy.
Thank you, Ron, for what you do for the hobby.
Definitely.
He's a terrific guy, and the party is, well renowned. It's been in several pinball magazines. Game Room magazine has featured it. And he and I became very close friends, and we really formed a close bond. And there is where I met Trent Augustine while playing up there, who is a world-class player, always has been. And my skills were like a straight-up line by learning from Trent, playing with Trent, and getting to play with the best from the very beginning of my competitive career.
Hey, enter your initials in, buddy.
Hey.
Or somebody's initials.
Well, I like lifting my leg on the trees. This is a tree. I'm going to lift my leg and put in the initials. When the viewers out there see this in a game, I've lifted my leg on that machine.
Never quite heard it put that way. Why don't you step over here to the left towards Fred? We have a high-speed challenge for you.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Fred, do you want to come up here and call some high speed for us?
Sure.
So what we
I
have...
will no longer be able to hear you because the headset will not work over there.
That's cool.
So what we have here is, whenever we were putting together the console games for the Replay FX Arcade and Gaming Festival, one of the games we came across was a Nintendo version of High Speed, made by, I think it was Trademark in 1987.
Righty.
And Al, I actually am a little surprised that you brought High Speed up and we happen to have this game here today, but real curious to see if you can put up a game on this just like you put up on Tron. And while he does that, we're going to get everything ready to move over to our next game.
Use the A button.
Guys, are we moving to, where are we going next? Are we going to go...
We're going to go to Centaur.
We're going to go to Centaur next. All right, we'll make sure that's all ready to go in a couple
Oh
seconds
boy.
here.
Wow, there's major delay.
Good players can overcome that delay, Tomka.
Oh!
Oh.
Yeah, that orbit is pretty rough.
Use the flippers, Al.
Use the flippers.
Is this like 10-ball play?
No, it's 3-ball play. And look at the high score. It's 51 million on High Speed on that game. It's insane.
How are you doing over there, Fred?
Doing awesome. I had about 1 million.
That's almost the high score, number 10.
Yeah, almost.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to shoot. Considering the high score was at Papa was 12 million in qualifying, 51 million seems a little ridiculous.
Fred, are you going to be playing Centaur for us?
Yes. Yeah, as soon as John gets everything ready, we'll head over to Centaur, and hopefully I can put up a game like I did earlier.
Oh, man, these graphics. Hey, might we have the Pinbot version?
What was that?
Actually, we do.
Is that a kickback on High Speed?
Yes. We do have the Pinbot version, and we also have, I think, 2 copies of the NES game Pinball. We're going to break out Pinbot next week, I think.
Sweet.
Go round, go round, go round.
Al's fired up from his great Tron game. Nice job on the game of Tron, Mr. Tomka.
What is floating around on the playfield?
You know what? It's really weird. There is a little tornado floating around on the playfield. If it grabs your ball, which sounds really bad, and it is.
Well, it's a tornado.
It'll grab it, and it'll take the ball and float around the playfield a little bit, and then just bring it right down the middle between the flippers and your ball.
So
What's that flashing box there?
this physics engine looks pretty much exactly like real pinball.
Whoa.
Fred,
Ooh.
is that your experience?
The transition from the real table to Nintendo 8-bit is seamless. It's absolutely seamless. I don't know
Senseless is more
how they
like
meant to
not
do it.
seamless, senseless.
They must have gotten Steve Ritchie involved somehow,
Steve Ritchie.
but I don't know.
Oh, the flow is so there on this.
Yeah, it's like playing real table.
It's like a qualifying again.
Like Steve loves, that just feeling of a shot, and I get it on this.
Yeah, right here he goes. Here he goes, right down the middle. Bye. See you later. Yeah, you just met the tornado of doom, Mr. Tomka.
That was
All
a
right, guys,
tornado.
it looks like we're about ready for Centaur here, so
All right,
we can
going
cut
down.
over
Is
that
Fred
anytime
going to
we're
go
ready.
destroy it?
Good, because I'm.
Hey, look, the Valley Flip Out 2014.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. It's one of the circuit events coming up. It's up in Abbotsford, up in the Great Northwest. If anyone gets a chance, we recommend you come out to the tournament and join us at one of the Papa Circuit events.
All right, we're in position here. I guess this is how it feels whenever you're in the hospital and you're getting fed several IVs.
What is that disco ball hanging out above the playfield glass there?
That is a microphone.
Got to get all those great Centaur sounds in.
Oh, I'm unplugged.
Uh-oh.
Need a little technical support here.
So Centaur is actually a game that was in PAPAtv 2 years ago, maybe 3?
Correct.
Okay, I'm back.
Why don't you speak to that for a second here, Chris? Before we get started, I want to go fix the microphone cord just to make sure we have good visuals.
Certainly. I actually had the chance to play the A-Bank Centaur, and it definitely played very difficult. There was ultimately no way to save it whenever it went out the outlanes. As you can see on the one, whenever the feed comes back up from the overhead, you can see that there are indeed white rubbers on the outlanes. Near the bottom, you'll find, I believe, 2-star posts, and gives you the opportunity to propel the ball back through the gate into the in-lane, back into play.
As soon as we get switched over here to Centaur, you're going to get to see that a little better. So, Centaur is one of the most expensive of the early Bally games. Also, Centaur is one of the first games. I don't know if it is the first. I don't think it is, but it's one of the first to have a reverb unit installed on the soundboard. And so you get like a real boomy sound. Destroy Centaur.
Kind of like
It
that.
makes me scared enough to not want to play it.
So the last game that Fred played was off camera was about 5 million. So we're gonna throw the gauntlet down, and Fred, you have to at minimum get 5 million, or
Or you're done.
yeah, or you're done. That's it.
Or you tap out.
You get one chance. I mean,
I get one chance?
Tomka just got the portal.
Yeah, I mean, gosh.
He only got to play 4 games to my 1. That's fine.
Well,
2 games.
You get 3 balls.
Was it 2? I wasn't paying attention.
3
Was it-
balls, otherwise we're putting Chris up there.
You were too busy mesmerized
Oh,
by
boy.
NES High Speed.
I was
You better
playing-
get this,
Or
Fred.
maybe we'll put Mark up there. I mean, Mark is a pretty good Centaur player as well.
I would prefer just to sit here and
Drink your root beer?
and make fun of Fred.
Yeah, well, you did say 5 million, not 500,000. Thank you very much.
All right, Fred, break it out. What do you do here walking up to Centaur? Explain some of the basics for people who may not know.
Okay, Centaur, it's pretty simple, but it's difficult at the same time, if that makes sense. When I step up to the table, if I was a first timer, you can read the card, whatever, but since I've played it several times, the first thing I will try to do is go for the orb targets in order, ORBS, which will give me a 1-ball multi-ball, and it will also give me credit to a orb light on the play field. That's important because if I hit this bank of targets down in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll light a timed release over here and will release the number of orbs that I have lit up on the playfield.
Could you explain what's going on in the playfield art?
This is like pretty much, I don't know, kind of like Road Warrior meets Damnation Alley meets, I don't know, Soylent Green maybe?
I don't think you can improve from that list of references. Just,
Fantastic.
Yeah, just either walk off or plunge the ball, because that's pretty much a perfect description.
Okay, I'm glad I was be able to satiate that there. So here we go.
Is that what they actually say? Somebody in the chat says, slow, aren't you? Is that actually what slow, aren't you? Slow, aren't you?
Only when you play, John.
No, I mean, like, what does he actually say there in that audio quote?
That I'm not sure. And there's a Bally brick right there. That's always nice to have.
What's a Bally brick?
Bally was always also very renowned for when you hit their targets, they would not drop, infuriating you on contact, and that was pretty much it. So
We get a lot of tech calls for that during tournaments. People will, call us over and say, I hit that twice and it didn't drop. And, it's kind of tough to look at someone and say, well, don't hit it quite as well. Because a lot of times if you hit them flush right on the center, then they won't drop. But if you just nip them, then they drop almost 100% of the time.
that is correct. So I try to shoot for the edge. Obviously, with 23,000 on that ball, it didn't do very well. So, the pressure's on to get 5 million still.
So what are the settings on this particular game? Because one thing that we've learned about Centaur is that settings can have a massive impact on your strategy.
Well, on this one in particular, the orb lights, if you complete a bank of targets, whether you get them in order or not, will not be retained after you drain your ball, which is very important if you're going for multi-ball. Your multipliers will not be held over until you max out your bonus, which is at, I believe it's 360. I think so. So your bonus will not be held, and you get the multipliers by completing the 3 lights at the top. I'm trying to think of what else.
Can you control the lights at the top?
I'm sorry?
Can you control the lights at the top?
Yes, you can, with the left or right flippers.
Left or right?
Yeah.
I thought it was just the right flipper on
I
Centaur.
I think it's just the left flipper.
You can do it with both.
I think it's with I think it's with both.
Prove it.
Test that theory.
Prove it.
It is
We
with
will
both,
after it.
But with the stacked switches in there, it doesn't always work.
Goodbye.
Oh.
See?
Was not able to bounce off of the rubber and do play through the gate.
Yeah, my road to 5 million right now is not looking good.
Well, we'll just call this one your warm-up game.
Okay.
And then kick you off the machine all the same. No pressure, Fred.
So,
None
so
Give
Fred,
me an
you,
R.
Fred, you've talked about the orbs. What are some other ways to release balls or start a multi-ball in this game?
Well,
Ooh.
not that way. So if you look down on the play field, you'll see 3 blue lights, and they are controlled by either side of the flipper. So I have these 2 lit. The only thing I need to do is get this one, or if I switch it, I need this one, and then I can get a 1-ball multi-ball. It's an add-a ball. You can get one of those 1 per ball.
So the flippers, just to recap, the flippers change the in-lane, out-lane of that particular side.
Yeah, kind of like when I was staging flippers over there. You can also do it on this to change the flipper.
So if you're playing Centaur, make sure you're paying attention if you drain, because the ball may go down your last lit one and kick it back into play.
That is correct. Sometimes it actually doesn't hurt to drain.
So what are you going to try to hit here, Fred?
Well, I'm going to try to hit the BS, of course, the BS. And then if that does, it'll start a 1-ball multi-ball for me. And more importantly, we'll light an orb, because if you look over here, my release is intermittent. If I hit that during the multi-ball, it'll release another ball.
Okay.
So I'll be in 3-ball multi.
So you're going to try to are you going to try to hit them both together, or are you going to try to hit them one at a time?
I'm going to try to hit them both together.
Well, good luck.
We go for broke here.
Going for broke.
And didn't get it. And I paid the price.
All right, Fred, fire it up. And
Serious game here.
What do you got? I think you can do it this time.
Oh, I think I can. We're going to do it here.
that's kind of the nature of the old solid state games. A lot of times the newer games are a little bit more controllable. Game time's a little bit longer. Whenever you walk up to some of the old Valleys or old Sterns, from the early solid state era, just higher randomization. If it feels like once you get it going, sometimes it just can't drain. But getting to that point is tough.
I mean, I still wouldn't say that it's more. Maybe it's a little more random, but I wouldn't say it's more luck, because these games are highly skilled games still.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird to say. I mean, luck is sort of a subjective term, because you can be lucky but have put yourself in a position for success, or you could be lucky and have done nothing prior to that, and not capitalize on anything. So I mean, luck is one thing. There's absolutely a high level of skill in these games, and knowing what to do is critical. And knowing how to recuperate from missed opportunities. Like he just hit the S out of order, and so now by hitting the B, he can still drop that in order to get an orb. You'll see it now counts in orb form. But if he would have hit that in order, it would have automatically kicked a ball into play. So I mean, the rules aren't simple by any means. There's a lot of strategic choices.
I mean, so normally he would get to keep those. Well, I guess it depends on the setting. But
Correct.
now he lost all his orbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, just to finish up what I was saying.
Sorry about that.
Learning, basically adapting to what the game is giving you, into what you've set up yourself, and what you've messed up is pretty critical to long-term success in these types of games, or in any game really.
I think there might be more of an adaptation for a good early solid state like Centaur, because a lot of the early solid states you'll say, oh, light the spinner, go for the spinner. Centaur has a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Some older games suck, but some newer games suck too. It's basically if a game gives you choices or a game forces you to play the whole playfield, then it's generally going to be fun or going to be considered better than other games. And that's a real simplistic way of putting things. But I don't know, John. I mean, what do you think? Because, I sort of take that back, actually, now that I'm in the middle of saying it, because sometimes one-shot wonders are fun, too. I mean, sometimes it's incredibly fun just to sit up and say, you know what, I'm going to shoot the Date East Star Wars ramp 400 times in a row just to annoy everyone else in the bar with that awful sound.
Yeah, but do you really want to own that machine?
Me, personally? No, but,
I mean, I think most people, I think there's a reason that Twilight Zone is probably one of the number one home collected game.
Doesn't it go too far, though? I mean, can't games become so complicated that you lose the novice player or they're just not quite as fun?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, Twilight Zone, I hated it when I was a kid. I absolutely hated it, but I could understand Addams Family, which came out right before that. And I would not play a game of Twilight Zone, but now that I've been playing for many years and I feel like I understand pinball a little bit better, I'd rather play a Twilight Zone every time.
I don't know how we got on this topic, actually. It just sort of happened, but this in a way applies to playfields. Just having a bunch of crap on a playfield doesn't necessarily make it fun. A game doesn't have to have a million ramps. It doesn't have to be overly complicated to be entertaining. And, rule sets are sort of the same way. It's just there's something ephemeral about hitting the shot and having it be, that cataclysmic moment where, you got it, you nailed it, and everything came together. That makes it entertaining.
Not to interrupt, but I got a question from the audience, and actually somebody already answered it, but I just want to get it on the tape here. They asked if you could hit the ORBS targets in reverse order and still get the
ball
immediate add-a-ball, and the answer to that is no, you can't, but you do still build up your orbs lights below the bonus, which you can release later.
And actually, if you noticed, I actually got the orbs
off of the outlane.
On the outlane, but it didn't give me the ball. That does happen on occasion as well.
Why not?
It kicked out a ball. You just lost it immediately.
I didn't even see it. So there you go.
Fire it up again, Fred. Keep going.
All right.
Come on, Fred.
And
8:34.
Rob, you asked, are we broadcasting once a week? And we're not officially saying that, but sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it really, so much of what we do down here depends on volunteer efforts. Nice start there, Fred. Way to bring it home. So much of what we do down here depends on volunteer efforts. So we're going to try and broadcast as often as we can, but for in the early going, at least, we're not going to commit to a set schedule.
Right, but we'll try to give you as much notice as we can.
At least 30 minutes.
At least.
That's all we need.
I think we are actually planning on broadcasting next week. I don't know what day of the week for sure it's going to be, but we've had a lot of requests to do the Star Trek, the new Stern Star Trek with the new code installed. So,
yeah, one of the things that I'm adamant about is I don't want to focus just on A titles. I mean, the new code on the Stern Star Trek is awesome. We're going to talk about it and we'll play it next week.
Definitely.
But I don't want to line up, all the games that people see all the time. I definitely want to make sure we make time for some maybe lesser known games like Centaur or even, good God, we have Coney Island out there today.
I mean, yeah, Coney Island might be what we consider our
top
D title.
Our top tier cherry on
Mystic.
top.
Mystic is also another that's not nearly as popular as Centaur is, but I think it's a wonderful ballad game.
Mystic is a challenging. It's one of those games that it's not overly complicated, but it puts you into entertaining situations.
Very.
There's a lot of risk reward to that game,
We will
and a lot of
definitely.
decision making. Well, yeah,
We'll get
Seeds, you're
there.
going to play that in a little bit.
Sure.
Oh,
So what you just saw there was Fred completed the in-lane out-lane, so you got all four of the blue lights to light up, and that served... Fred, is it once per game whenever you get that as an add-a-ball?
No, it's one per ball.
One per ball. So now you have your O and your R lit, and it looks like you already have 4 orbs ready to go.
There you go.
And
I
here
just
they
gotta
come.
light the release now.
so Oh, okay, so he only just got one more right now.
It gave him the one add-a-ball for getting them in order, but
So what
doesn't
so he-
release.
So Fred, what do you have to do?
Oh, sorry about that.
What do you have to do to light your release on the upper right?
Okay, well, I want to get them in order on the right drop targets right here, which I have already knocked out number 3, so I can't do that. If I hit this green light over here, it'll reset them, and I'll be allowed to try to shoot them again. Or I can hit this green target 4 times, and it'll drop them in order for me.
I would expect to see you tap pass and go after the one on the upper right.
What would
Well, I can't go for the tap pass right now because there's no point in doing it.
what would happen if you hit the stand-up target? That's the green stand-up target at the top of the playfield right now.
This one right here, it'll knock down one target over here.
So it wouldn't reset it for you.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I thought that served as a reset. So
I don't think, as it doesn't say it up there. Well, it does say it says spots 1 through 4, and over here it says resets.
So your only play right now would be to shoot the one on the left to try and reset those targets.
Correct, so I'm going to try to shoot that.
What else would happen now?
That's not true. He could actually shoot the drop targets off the captive ball, which is the shot on the left of the game. He does have to make it 5 times to drop the 4 drop targets and then hit the target. That is also
Okay, so Al's saying you can also use the other release, which is already lit. That's
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
that's up in the drop targets on the left side of the game.
That's kind of unlikely.
That's very difficult.
That's a strategy that you don't see a whole lot.
But
I will
it
say
is there.
I will say that in match play, I don't mind shooting those drop targets early on in a game, especially if my bonus carries over, because those 2 rollovers there, they work your bonus up, and you can get to 20 pretty quickly.
Yes.
It's an underutilized portion of this game. It seems like everyone who comes in and doesn't really know a lot about it just shoots for orbs. And the drops on the upper left, and especially the drops on the right, are very underutilized.
Well, actually, since he prompted me to do so, I actually hit the first 2, so I should maybe keep going for those.
Well, I do know that one of the things that's a little challenging about those drops is whenever you get into the last 2, maybe just the last one, you have to hit the captive ball directly.
Yes, and that's actually how I'm shooting it. I prefer to shoot it directly as opposed through the loop.
The first 2 you can get through the loop, and it's pretty nice whenever you get it to come up and then come back through the loop, and you can get 4 advances on the bonus.
So there's when you're hitting those shots on the left side, there's 2 audio quotes that come up. One of them I know is only single value, and I think the other one is double Queen's Chamber.
That sounds
That's
vaguely familiar.
Does anybody know what that means?
well,
I don't know.
the single value, doesn't that refer to your multiplier?
Oh, hold it. We got Brian Tessier. Brian's gonna tell Chris what the answer is, and maybe he'll tell us. Go ahead and play, Fred.
All right, I'm going to go for the targets over here on the left.
Don't mess this up.
I'm going to try not to.
I believe I have an answer.
Oh yeah. What is it?
Lay it on us.
I believe, or I guess Brian believes, and I'm agreeing with him on this. If he shoots those 2 rollovers first upon entering to hit the captive ball,
Okay.
that is what does the double.
So right now, you're saying he could double the 40,000 point collect if he
Would've had it.
did it by shooting it through the rollover?
Yes.
But unfortunately, he bricked it, and he just, he left it all there on the table.
I left 4 orbs on the table, and my release is now lit, so I have to go back to work at the targets again.
That is brutal, Fred.
Yeah, well, I tried.
We might have set this game up a little too difficult for a live
No, I mean,
broadcast.
I will say, I mean, Fred literally
I
did
knew
just
it.
do 5 million.
I know he's.
It's one of those games.
I'm going to go for the targets here so I can get my multi-ball if my R doesn't keep bricking.
This is one of those games that the strategies change between match play
That's
and
true.
qualifying. You'll see scores if this is used in qualifying, up in the millions. But typically, what Fred just did right here in a match play situation is pretty good.
That's a fairly respectable match play score.
I mean,
sure.
I would say I would say in Pinburg, Fred's taken home several points with that game. But in a Papa qualifying run, that's probably not going to net a whole lot.
Correct.
So, Fred, I don't know if do you want to give it one more shot, or do you feel like
You want a
your
little-
best years are behind you?
I can go one more. Just if the people at home don't mind so much, we can go one more.
All right, we'll give it one more shot here,
All right.
and then we're going to move on to the highly featured game of the evening,
Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Fred and I have actually had a lot of battles on Centaur over the years. This is one of our go-to games. This and I would say 8 Ball Deluxe are probably the two that we play the most.
Destroy Centaur.
He's starting off pretty strong by knocking the O and the R in order.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See, every time you guys say that, it just prompts it to go down the middle. But
Hey.
I'm going to get it.
You know what, man?
wasn't
Take those
shy.
headphones off. Take them off. Set them on the ground.
Now you can't hear us make fun.
All right. All right. Now go play your game.
Okay, here we go.
Pretend it's a dollar
Actually, I'm
game
hearing more
versus Mark.
static on those headphones than anything, so.
Yeah, you would think with all the heckling around here that usually goes on, it wouldn't bother him, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We used to think that he was pretty good at, working under pressure situations, but now we're starting to wonder.
Fred's a bit of a classic specialist. He typically does well at the Papa Circuit events he goes to.
We should mention that his nickname is Freddy Classics Cochran locally.
Al just pointed out that his local nickname is Freddy Classics Cochran. Fred just spelled orbs in order, and the benefit of spelling orbs in order is obviously that it kicks out a ball for you to start a multi-ball. He wants to work towards those green lights on the right side. He hit the fourth one before he hit the third one down, which unfortunately meant he did it out of order, and so his release light on the upper right to collect his orbs is now not lit. You have to hit those greens. You have to hit the stand-ups next to the green flashing arrows in order to light your release. And that same shot also serves as a bonus collect. And whenever you get 5x60, you're staring 300,000. There, he just lit the in the upper right the bonus collect. So you'll see that the inserts cycle from 2x to 5x, and whenever you hit the stand-up all the way at the upper right, the exact time, whatever insert is lit at the time you hit it, is the multiplier you'll get in collecting your bonus.
Nice
Well,
little bounce in.
To answer a couple of the questions that are on the chat, Angela could not make it out tonight, but hopefully she's watching from home.
Daisy Diesel.
Daisy Diesel. And to answer Georgia Pinball's question, did we cover shatzing the in lanes to get the ball out? Yeah. Fred has been able to do it, and basically, just to explain to everybody, shatzing the in lanes is also known as an alley pass, and it's named after, affectionately named after Neil Schatz, who's a great player from California who was doing that long before I even knew how to control a ball.
It's a move it seems like it's becoming more and more commonplace.
It is. And also, somebody asked me to do a little shout out for the
IFPA.
is that the Project Pinball? The Pinball Outreach Project
There you go.
tournaments that are coming up in October. We have a bunch of those. You can check the IFPA website for a full schedule of all the pinball tournaments that are coming up in the next month. And we have one coming up at New Great Valley Lanes.
My home turf, which I will defend.
So Al Tomka is letting you know that the gauntlet is on. And we have another question about Centaur before we move on to Coney Island. When you plunge the ball onto the table, what happens when you complete 3 red rollover lights at the top?
Bonus multiplier.
So just one bonus multiplier?
Two times, yeah. And then you just keep continuing. And you can alternate the lanes by the left and right flippers.
And your wife, Mark, is asking why I'm not using the Gentleman John voice. And good grief. She has a one-track mind about that.
I've learned very quickly not to argue with her about things like this. So, I mean, if she wants to hear it, then I'm all for it.
Anastasia. Actually, that sounds more like some creepy guy's voice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you insinuating Gentleman John's not a creepy guy?
Actually,
All right, what are we cutting to? Are we going to do?
we're going to
another,
do some Coney Island. I think we're done with Centaur for the evening.
No more death match on Centaur.
Oh.
But I mean, you guys got an idea of how to play the game. Centaur is a wonderful early classic solid state. If you see one out there, give it a couple plays. It will kick your butt, and you'll want to come back for more, which is the reason we love the game. Coney Island, 1979 game plan. It has it has some great features.
This game is brutal.
It has drop targets and holes.
Who wants to
and
play some
a
Coney Island?
50,000 point rollover.
Who?
Should I play against Al?
Chris, go down there.
why
Show us how to play
It will
Coney
be a
Island.
nice.
Why don't
nice
you
rival.
guys play some? Yeah, I mean, guys, have a little fun. Play some Coney Island.
All right.
See if we can get Fred up here in the booth.
So I'm going to step out for a minute and let Fred sit down, and we'll see some Coney Island played.
Go ahead, fire it up, guys, whenever you're ready.
So before they start, I'll apologize for my disgusting play on Centaur.
No, you did all right. You did 800,000. I think
Eh.
you showed all the features of the game. I mean, we know you have more in there, but this isn't the only time we're going to be doing this.
Killing people's time. Oh, listen to that music. That's awesome. The thing I want to hear on this is the bomb when you get 50,000. I can't wait to hear that again. So for those who don't know Coney Island, pretty simple rule set. The Coney lights will advance your pop bumpers. Will give you 1,000 points per pop bumper. And they are not, you cannot alternate them with, oh, there's some ambiance. With the flipper buttons, they automatically stay solidly lit. Targets are hard to shoot at. They're pretty much death, but Chris is good enough that it won't happen. If he shoots it into the scoop, he'll collect the spinner light, which he can then crank the spinner a bunch of times, and it'll collect his, raise his multiplier.
Have you ever seen a bigger bank of drop targets that's more worthless?
No, probably not. I was going to say I've seen bigger banks of drop targets, but they all pretty much are worth value.
What is the biggest bank of drop targets, actually? World Poker Tour?
Okay, Al
I can see
Tompkin
that.
knows quickly.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Big Shot. Big Shot's got a... Okay. Yeah, I never really count them. I just shoot at them. And badly.
Yeah, it seems like the island targets in this game are just absolute death.
Yeah, they're the lower you shoot, the more death they are. So if anybody sees the green light on the right-hand side up on the play field, on the upper right, that will give them 50,000 points just for rolling over and have one of the more awesome sound effects of this game. It sounds like a bomb going off, pretty much.
I like the galloping horse.
Yes. And if he shoot, like I said, there's the outlane. If he shoots the scoop, that'll light the spinner for 1,000 a spin, and you will hear the galloping for a couple minutes because the spinner is juiced.
Yeah, it seems like anytime I'm walking up to this game in Pinburg, it's basically just saucer spinner. Is there any reason to focus on anything else?
Not really. No. Just shoot it up top all day long. It gives you, you can get the spinner lit. You can also get the rollovers. It's pretty much it. It's a tough shot, though. You can backhand it, as Al almost did twice there. But yeah, up top. The pops can be worth a few points, just by getting the pop bumpers, and that's how you get the light when you light them with the Coney letters. It'll give you a pop bumper each time, and they're worth 1,000 points a pop.
So, Fred, we were talking about how you're kind of known as a classic specialist. It's you typically, whenever you're in tournaments, do really well. I mean, you do well on any game you play, but you're known for having high finishes and doing well on classics games. Do you change your mindset whenever you step up to these kinds of games, or is there something you do that's different?
It's funny. I'm a little on the fly, a little bit on the fly most of the time when I'm playing games. When I'm playing classic games, they calm me down. I actually play a lot more controlled in classics games because it is much harder to get control of the ball when you're playing a classics game. So my mindset is to play slow and deliberate and play very controlled. And I'm not sure why I can't, translate that over to the more modern games.
More drop targets.
We have the fever, and the only prescription is more drop targets. And that's pretty much what I do. I for some reason they calm me down, and I play a lot more controlled.
Yeah, that's funny because I mean I think that the normal reaction to walking up to these kinds of games is the exact opposite. You see a lot of players who, try and cradle up and think their way through the modern games, and then walk up to these and just assume that everything is equal, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
No, they're a totally different animal. But that's why I like them. I play. Like I said, playing Centaur, it's a tough game. You get a hold of it, it feels great to do it. But you'll play 3 or 4 bad games before you get your first good game. So I just like that style of game.
I can't help but think to myself now that everything I've done in my life has led me to a point where I am now commenting on a game of Coney Island.
There's a person in the chat room that says they want to see a match between CDs and Al Tomka on AC/DC.
Oh God, we'd be here until midnight.
We'd be here till midnight on that one, and then Al would have to reenact the tilt bonus win scenario, and I don't know if that's it could be replicated.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see a great match between these two players, check out our coverage of the Fairfax Pinball Open from this past year. It's on the Papa site. You can search for it, or just look under the broadcast coverage section. And actually, now that I think about it, I need to update that section of the website. But anyway, just take a look at it, and there's a great match between these two.
Yeah, I actually left. I didn't see that match, unfortunately. I was already on the way home from Virginia.
That was a truly classic match. I got to say I enjoyed the heck out of it. And after losing that game on ACDC, if I was Chris, I would have been shaken. But let's not give away the whole match. But I will say that they played ACDC, they played F-14 Tomcat, and their third game was on the Shadow, wasn't it?
And there goes the bomb.
Yes, it was. That was actually the first time we ever had Player Cam 85,000. The most reliable piece of equipment that our broadcast booth has.
That was pretty epic, and there was actually a couple of requests when people were playing it to take it off. They didn't want to see their faces on camera.
You guys are horrible. One more game, guys. Come on.
We want to watch. We want to watch another game of Coney Island.
The last time I played Coney Island, I rolled it twice, Chris.
Ask the crowd. Does anyone in the chat room want to see another game of this?
Does anybody have any questions about Coney Island, actually?
Yeah, John and I were playing a game on this recently, and I kind of went off and played about 75 other games while he rolled it, and it was pretty disgusting. This game, somebody says this game is the bomb. Somebody says one more, so there definitely is.
There's some people are wanting to watch the Coney Island.
All right, one more. I guess if we made them watch NES High Speed, we can work through another game of Coney Island.
Well, Coney Island is real pinball, and all real pinball is good. So he has a spinner lit now, so it's worth massive amounts of points at this point.
Especially with the EVOO on it.
Yeah, what is it? It's 1,000 a spin when it's lit, and what is it when it's not?
10 points?
It's just garbage.
No, I think it's 100.
Is it 100 on this one?
Usually it's 100 and then 1,000. But
and there goes another bomb by Chris.
You dropped the bomb on me, baby.
Oh, that was bad. Oh, let's not do that again, please.
Were you about to say don't quit your day job, John?
No, that would be me. Don't quit my day job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you get paid this thing, and I do not. So
for those that don't know, John's in a disco band. One of the best in Pittsburgh, actually. And you're also in an 80s band. Is that correct, John?
Well, I'm in 2 bands at the current time. Maybe there'll be more.
You used to be in a country band?
Country band. I used to... back a number of years ago, I was signed with a progressive rock band as well, which was a lot of fun.
Sing a little Barry White for us, John.
Oh dear, that's like the. That's
I don't know, baby.
The Love Doctor, man.
I don't think I can do no Barry White here. There might be too many people getting a little physical out in the audience.
I'm a little too close here. I'm getting a little scared.
Yeah, baby.
Oh my God. Well, if Anastasia wanted to hear something like
that just happened.
Gentleman John, that just usurped that with the Barry White.
This is a live show, folks. We're going to do stuff that might scare you sometimes, and we just want to thank you for that. Oh,
nice ball.
Got
Chris,
the extra ball right at the end.
Chris drained to an extra ball. That's pretty awesome.
How do you light the extra ball on this?
Is
it the lane of rollovers?
I believe it's the lane of rollovers, and then it's lit in 2 places, and it changes.
Right, so it could be either the right out lane or the left in lane. funny as that is.
Right out lane or left in lane?
Come on, Chris, drop the bomb. Oh.
Hey, there's a request for you to do Tennessee Ernie Ford, John. Can you do Tennessee Ernie Ford?
I don't even know what Tennessee Ernie Ford is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either.
He used to sing with Bill Monroe.
And just a quick shout out, by the way. I asked a poll on Pinside to see what games you guys wanted to see on these broadcasts, and we will be doing quite a few of the things that you've requested. It's not too late to get your requests in.
Yeah, what are we doing next week? Have we decided?
Well, I know one of the games we're doing for sure, which is we're going to do
Star Trek.
Star Trek with the new code. There was a lot of requests for Demolition Man, and Demolition Man is a wonderful game. So I think.
Well, I mean, I think that just comes because it's a wonderful movie.
Well, I mean, 3 seashells and all. You know, you got. Gosh, can we ever mention Demolition Man without saying the 3 seashells? Seashells.
There's so many bad jokes that can be made right now.
Thank
Let's
you,
move
Mr.
on
Connery.
to game 3.
That was like Sean Connery right there. Seashells.
Yes.
Oh my God! Get the seashells.
So what's game number 3?
Game number 3. I don't know if we have game number 3 yet, do we?
All right. Well, let's see if someone wants to pick something in the chat room, and then we'll roll with that.
Okay, we can roll with that. We had a request for Firepower earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Firepower would be good.
All right, then we'll tack on Firepower. I'm pretty sure ours is working good.
Somebody said we have to have a poll page.
Yeah, we do need a poll page. If only we had anyone in our organization that had anything to do with the internet or websites, we could get that done.
Well, that would involve work, and work is
for the person.
Nice save, Chris.
For the person who emailed me recently, we did shop out our Black Knight. It is ready to go for the for the next tournament.
Somebody said we should do a video on Hercules.
We don't own a Hercules, as a matter of fact, and which I wouldn't know exactly how to tell you to play it. I mean, just hope that the flippers are strong enough to make it up to the top.
You know, I played that game at Expo last year. It was in the hallway, and Expo's coming up for anyone who doesn't know. Out in Chicago, Pinball Expo. It's another circuit event. We recommend you go.
Oh my goodness. We have so many games popping up in the chat right now. So many people have great ideas for games. I can't even list them as fast as they're coming up.
Close your eyes and point at one, and then that will be it.
Spectrum.
Oh, God.
Aton, Spectrum, haunt your dreams.
All right, let's do it then. I guess if we can do Coney Island, we can walk through Spectrum.
Yes. One of the few games that has no plunger.
Coney Island actually, I think, would make a legitimate tournament game, though.
Oh, we've used this in Pinburg for sure.
I mean,
I've used this 2 years in a row.
Right, but I don't know. Spectrum is not a good tournament game, if I remember right.
No, it just takes too long. I mean, there's really nothing about it that is inherently, unfair. I mean, the whole code breaking thing is sort of silly because basically even if you just keep shooting stuff, and then ultimately you're going to solve it eventually. So, there's ways to play it that are more efficient than just randomly shooting. But I think the reason it's not generally seen in tournaments is it's just long.
Oh, my gosh. Chris is riding the horse.
He's like Happy Gilmore. Look out. He's just going to keep on cranking that spinner. Here he goes, another spinner shot coming up here in a second. Bam. He looked like me shooting.
Actually, for the request for Fathom, I think Bowen actually did a really nice tutorial on Fathom recently, and you can check the archives.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago, but it's definitely out there.
And I don't know if we would really want to redo something that he did such a nice job on at this point. We have so many other games to play, so little time.
He's already done Tron and I think Mystic, which are 2 of the games we're doing tonight. I don't necessarily mind redoing stuff because there's stuff that Bowen does and can talk about that we won't think about or talk about. So
that's true, very true.
Somebody said Simpsons Pinball and explain all the rules to us. We could fly Keith Johnson in for that one.
I don't think Al's saying he understands that. So Coney Island. Well, we'd like to thank you for watching Coney Island. I think that's enough of it. So we got one more game for you guys tonight. Mystic.
And then if people didn't already notice, Chris does have his hat on. We had somebody last week ask where Chris's checkered hat was. It was being used for a checker match, and he brought it back out of retirement just for the viewing audience. This looks like the new one, though. The other one is a little bit seedy, so... seedy, haha.
High Roller Casino. We could probably do a High Roller Casino. We actually have to get that pin back in the building in order to do it. It's actually out on route right now.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't realize, is the games don't just sit in the warehouse all year long. We do get them out on route, and they are used in other tournaments.
So, hey, Al, why don't you come up here on the microphone? I have a couple I want to talk to you about Mystic. Because I remember the last time me and you played a serious game on Mystic. You don't remember it?
I don't know the rule set. I know I played it.
I also want to do the little James Lipton thing with Al because every week I want to try to do a little bit of interview. I think it's fun actually to get to know the people who are involved with pinball. Everybody has an interesting story to tell. You got to hear Al's story about how he met Ron Schuster, who has the Silver Ball Country Club. So, Al, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, and also keep in mind, audience, if you have any questions you'd like to know about Al, keep it clean first. I'll ask him. So first of all, Al, what's your full name?
It's Albert Eugene Tomka Jr.
Eugene.
Yes.
Does anybody call you Eugene?
No. The
Okay.
last person that did will never again.
Okay.
That's a good start.
Al, how old are you?
I'm 36.
And how long have you been playing pinball?
I started when I was about 9, but I've been playing competitively for about 10 years now.
What's your favorite pinball machine?
Medieval Madness.
And what would you say that also incorporates your favorite era of machine?
Yes, I definitely like, I'm a Bally Williams snob, is what was known on the former RGP. I do believe that the 90s generation Bally Williams games are the best pinballs out there ever.
Okay, what would be your favorite pinball to get at this point, to own?
Again, that would be Medieval Madness, but I'm a poor government social worker, so I don't have the bling bling to be purchasing anything like Medieval Madness.
The bling bling. Well, you have an Attack from Mars, don't you?
I got that at an incredible deal before they went up, and it was an incredible deal at the time. I happened to have a little bit of expendable cash at the time, and I actually hesitated buying it because what I spent at the time was a great deal, but I still wasn't sure I wanted to spend that type of money on a pin, and a couple pinball friends said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And I ended up buying it.
Did you see that save that Chris made while you were talking? I don't know if you were watching or not, but he just did an outlane shakeout save, which is awesome.
Yeah, again, Chris, he hasn't been in the competitive scene quite as long as myself, or especially you, John, but he really has picked up a lot of the advanced skills really quickly.
Oh, for sure.
And he, in fact, inspired me to start practicing the shats because he picked it up like it was nothing.
What is your favorite pinball call-out?
There's probably a few, but the one that comes to my mind that I almost always call out along with the game is from Attack that I own, and it's a super jackpot where the alien calls out, "Super jackpot!" And then there's a delay, and he goes, "Oh, baby!"
I have heard you call out along with that many times. Let's see. We got another question. What is your poison pin in a tournament?
So a game that's going to kill me. Recently, in fact, it's why I didn't play Centaur. Centaur, there's one at New Great Valley Lanes, and in tournaments and in league, it has destroyed me. I played there 4 times last season, and every time that was the game that kept me from a perfect score for the week.
Would you say what would be your favorite pinball to see in a tournament?
At this point, it's actually the real, not the NES version, High Speed. I've done really consistent on it. I've put up some really strong scores against some really top class players, and
and I feel pretty confident that I can do pretty well on it.
How many pinball machines do you own?
I currently only own 5. I've owned as many as 9. Right now, my lineup consists of a Family Guy running Shrek Code, a No Fear, an Attack from Mars, a Revenge from Mars that includes all the hardware and software to run the online tournament, and an Indianapolis 500.
That's a nice collection. Any other questions for Al?
Someone said they're going to call me Junior from now on. That's classic.
That's dangerous, actually. I wouldn't recommend that.
And I see the "Do you like the new Stearns?" question from Doc Brown. I do. I don't think that they're quite on par with the Bally Williams from the 90s. I'm hoping that Jersey Jack Pinball with Wizard of Oz, and they're supposed to be doing Hobbit. I hope that it really pushes Stern to step up their game, because Stern really got into a habit of just buying kind of toys from Toys R Us, putting them on a game and maybe putting them on a plunger and being like, here's our unique toy, playfield toy. And that's what I miss from the Bally Williams. Jersey Jack has done that really well, but I don't feel Stern has really gotten the unique playfield toys. The Tron use of the spinning disc is really cool, except for it's the same mechanism that they used in Pirates of the Caribbean, NBA, CSI. Let's name a handful of games that they use that spinning disc on, and they put it in a different place, and here's a new playfield toy.
Yeah, but it sort of seems like they've used them differently each time they've done it. Just to, argue with you a little on that.
They do put it in a slightly different place, but it's not like the Twilight Zone, proximity flippers, or the Wizard of Oz, with the spinning house with legs fall out of. That's truly, a mechanical toy built for that game and not from somewhere else.
Okay, all right, I got you. Who is your favorite pinball designer?
Oof. Yeah. If we're going off pinball designs, I definitely lean towards some of the games, but I have to throw out there, because I have a personal connection to him. Dr. Flash, aka John Trudeau. He lived at Schuster's for 2 years. We got to spend pretty significant time together. We went to Pinball Expo together. We were there when he was able to receive an award at the expo. Terrific guy. He was actually here for this party. So just because of my personal connection with him, I would have to say John Trudeau. John
Trudeau is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in pinball. He always is willing to spend time and talk to you, he makes you feel special if you want to talk to him about a game he's designed, or even just want to talk to him in general, which is really nice.
I also see why the Shrek Code on my Family Guy. That was a change that was done. I hosted a tournament at my house, and I love Family Guy. I think it's really funny, but the scoring is imbalanced in it, in that some of the modes are not timed modes. They're actually maxed out at scoring, whereas they corrected that when they made the same playfield layout, but with Shrek Code, all the modes are timed, meaning you can continue the time modes throughout as long as you keep your timer going by adding multi-balls.
Hey, Mark, there's a question for you on the feed. It says, would you ever consider, this is a loaded question, just so you know, but it's coming. Would you ever consider doing a marathon stream for charity? Seems like there's a few groups out there that do 24-hour marathon streams to raise money for charity.
I've been asked this question a lot, and the answer is yes, but it's not as easy as just playing a whole bunch of games. The one that's brought up is, why don't you play every game in the facility? And that sounds great until you realize that you're not going to be able to watch any of it, because we're not using like wireless Teradek cubes or anything. I mean, we have everything's wired here, and we would have to physically move the games under. There was recently someone who, I have the information. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was a local charity who was talking about doing a marathon, and like a kind of a let's play or a situation. I have the information, and it's something I think we're going to take part in and do a 24-hour pinball marathon, basically. And one of the reasons I think that could be fun is we could line up 12 games, in the PAPA bank and play it, and basically just have a little pizza party here overnight and run things in shifts. And then the other thing I'll touch on is I believe there's a gentleman at Pinball Expo coming up in about 2 months who's going to try and set the Guinness World Record for longest consecutive pinball game, who asked me to film him. So we're going to take that's not quite a charity venture, but it's going to be a marathon, to say the least. I think he's gunning for 100 hours was his goal. And we're taking some camera equipment out to set it up on Tuesday to help film that.
Are we really doing that? Wow.
Well, yeah.
What's the game going to be?
I think it's like Super Soccer or World Cup. I think it might be World Cup. It's whatever the record was originally set on. I basically told him, we'll set the camera up, and we have the equipment that can run for 100 hours.
Sure.
But, obviously with the broadcast and whatnot, we're not going to be able to stand there and man it the entire time.
What is the record?
I honestly don't know what the record is. If you want to tune in, I ideally want to set up the camera in a location where we can cut to it during our expo broadcast. So we'll know more. Just make sure you tune in whenever we're at Pinball Expo in October if you want to check that out.
And while you're answering that, Chris just made another wonderful Outland shake. It was really subtle, but it was definitely headed for the Outland, and he did a really subtle move that just brought it right back in.
Eventually we're going to have to get into discussing the rules of Mystic. This is a pretty simple but still challenging and fun game.
So, okay, let's talk about Mystic. Right now, Chris is crushing it, but the basic idea of Mystic, you can see there's 3 sets of drop targets on the game. And those drop targets all coincide to one of the boards on the tic-tac-toe looking board that's in front of you, and that's the 9-grid board.
It actually shows you which one, right in front of the drop target. It shows you the grid and which one the drop target represents.
So if you want to get your super bonus, which is the inserts below the grid lit, you have to get 3 in a row. So the first 3 in a row is actually worth 9,000, even though it says 6. I think the insert was actually inserted upside down when they made it from the factory. That'll carry over through the whole game. So right now he's gotten 9 rows done. And, 8 rows done at 9,000. And that corresponds with getting an entire grid filled with one particular color. So he has 72 base, and then you can multiply that. And the captive ball, if you hit it up to the top, that'll add your multipliers to it.
You, everything you say, from what I understand, is correct. But just to break it down in simpler terms, just to recap for someone who may be new at the game, each drop target represents a square on the tic-tac-toe board. And right in front of the drop target, it shows you which spot it represents. Each spot on the tic-tac-toe board is either a triangle or an eyeball. It's either the white light or it's the orange light. And basically, to simplify things, you want to complete all of one of those. They're essentially the same, but depending on how many, but they alternate whether or not the drop targets represent eyeballs or triangles. If you're doing really well with triangles and all of a sudden it switches over to eyeballs, then you just want to hit a switch. Is it every switch where it changes?
Every switch, actually I'll shoot at the slingshots. I know the slingshots change it. I think most of the like the pop bumpers change it, I believe. Yes, the pop bumpers change it, and slings.
Yeah, so basically, just to simplify things, you're either playing white lights or orange lights, and you want to fill as much of the tic-tac-toe board as you can with one of those.
Chris, will you quit doing beautiful moves? You're making me look bad, and I'm not even playing.
Making me look bad. I have 80,000.
Well,
Fred's having a bad night
Fred, you used all your skills up on Centaur.
That was before the cameras were on.
Also, we have an answer to the question from earlier. The record is 72 hours and 8 minutes on Gottlieb's Super Soccer.
Super Soccer, okay.
Which, incidentally, has the greatest backlash ever.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean...
That's one game?
I can't understand that.
No, it's multiple games on the same machine. It's one session.
Oh, okay, because I was,
No, it's it's not like just 3 balls. It's many, many games played. Basically, it's just a marathon record.
And it says Guinness allows 5-minute break for every hour.
Is there a record for longest single game played? Someone
Gosh.
can Google that out there.
There might be. I'm not sure.
I know that my longest ever did take, around 3 hours, and that was a score of 1.1 billion on Simpsons Pinball Party.
Yeah, I know I've had several Valinor runs that were, billion-point games that took seems like all afternoon.
Yeah.
Someone can Google this.
It's a lot of left orbits.
I've walked away from a game of Addams Family after probably about 3 hours.
Yeah, Adams with extra balls is, if it's playing easy, it can take a while. So Fred needs, Chris threw him a bone and lapped him, and so now Fred only needs, 240,000 here to pull ahead, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, poor Fred. Fred's getting the crap beat out of him tonight. Oh, and that's the end of it.
That's about right.
Oh. So we have somebody's requesting for you to talk about that billion-point Simpsons Pinball Party game.
It was actually at Schuster's house. I started a game. He went over, watched a movie, had dinner with his wife, came back over after a break, and asked if I was still playing Simpsons Pinball Party, and I told him I'm still playing the exact same game that I was playing when you left, and I'm on ball 2.
How many alien invasions are we talking about?
I had played every mode at least 3 times. I had gotten to Alien Invasion 4 times. That is one of the things that usually keeps me from getting, I forget the name of it because I've never achieved it, to the ultimate mode on Simpsons. It's usually either completing Alien Invasion that stops me. One time, and it was that game, I hadn't collected all the super jackpots from the couch, which is also a pretty daunting task to collect those super jackpots while you're in multi-ball. It was a sick game. Trent and I had been going back and forth trying to beat each other and, put up a higher score. And at that point, he just said, I don't have the time for that. And I quit.
Somebody asked us, are you moving machines to another venue for a 700 per player tournament? How long do you get before the event to get everything set up?
Well, I mean everything, because the game testing is going to go on all summer.
Right, we'll be testing along before that.
Yeah, that doesn't change. To actually set everything up before the tournament, there's it's going to be about 2.5 days when we have the option of expanding to a 3rd day if we need it. But, it's not us. It's an entire team of professional movers that are going to come in and help make sure it happens. It's not like we're estimating and hoping we can get it done. We've had professionals look at what we need to have done. Experienced movers tell us that we need this much time. And then, and so it's about 2.5 days to move the entire Papa collection and also set up everything else that the other vendors and whatnot are bringing in.
So, in other words, we don't have much time at all, just to paraphrase that slightly.
Well, I mean, yeah, I say 2.5 days, but, they're not 8-hour days either. They're 24-hour days working in shifts. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, it looks like we're watching the end of our gameplay on Mystic. Mystic is such a wonderful game. If you get a chance to play one of those, next time you're down at the pop-up facility, make sure you give it a shot.
I feel like we didn't really give Mystic its due rules-wise.
Well, Mystic isn't that complicated. I mean, basically, you want to complete grids, and you want to complete stars. And then after you get some bonus build-up, you really want to just multiply that bonus a couple times.
Using my standard old-school game spinner sinkhole strategy, what does a sinkhole do on Mystic? Because I'll be honest, I don't know Mystic rule set.
Okay. No, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, no, you can go ahead, John.
The sinkhole spots a star, and the sinkhole also lights the spinner. So it does 2 things.
Let's spinner sinkhole again goes back to the spinner sinkhole strategy.
Right. And
even though I don't know this game, that is often a very solid strategy for older games.
It is very often a solid strategy. I think on Mystic, actually, you're better if you pursue a Unless you have unless you're like situational play where you're in like, say you're ball 3, you need to get 15,000 points. Okay, sure, shoot the spinner, go for the single, great. But if you're stepping up on ball 1, you really want to get some of that super bonus build up.
Yeah, all the big scores in this game seem to come from multiplied 72s.
Right now, Brian has 45,000 points in super bonus. Now he also has a 3 times multiplier, so he's looking at 135,000 points in just bonus from only that. And he has one more shot in order to get that maxed out to a 72, because he would get 3 more bonuses from that. And just to explain why. So he's looking for the top left grid. If he can get that on the eyeball, I should say, he would then get a completion for the top row cross horizontally, the left row vertically, and also the diagonal. Nice nudge, Brian. So he needs to hit a slingshot here. Or, that's a good shot too. Get that captive ball. The eye is lit, the eye is not lit.
Oh, wow. I now have an understanding of this game.
Right. Oh.
See, and he's upset because he did it on the wrong one. He got a triangle.
Okay, but he did manage to complete his stars by going through the in lane.
What do the stars do, gentlemen?
Okay, so the first star will give you a bonus of, I think is it 20,000 or 50,000 points? The second one gives you an extra ball. The third one set of stars gives you a special.
Oh, that was
actually,
crucial.
that was a beautiful shot because he actually managed to max out a super bonus right by hitting that shot. And then he gets to multiply that 4 times. Watch his bonus.
He wins.
He just...
Why didn't he get the extra ball?
Because he didn't get the second set of stars. So this tells you what you're going to earn by completing the stars. So the first one actually is the white target. The second one is for the extra ball. And the third one is for the special.
Hey, John.
Yo.
I know we're about at an hour and a half here. It's about time to sign off. But I really want to take on Cochran at a game of Centaur.
Well... Nobody's saying we have to get off at a specific time.
I feel like he's vulnerable right now.
Oh, he's definitely vulnerable right now.
All right, it's going on
okay,
then.
so we're gonna give Centaur one more shot. Mark Steinman and Fred Cochran are gonna go after it. Destroy Centaur.
Yeah, the last time we played this game, he beat me 5 million to 4.5.
So I'm gonna get off the mic and let Al and who wants to call the last game?
Is your wife still watching?
Chris, do you want to call it with Al?
Yeah, I have no
All
idea.
right.
She did comment recently about your scream during your Valinor run, so I do believe Anastasia may be hanging around here somewhere.
She's watching.
Fred is confident and shaking his head, saying she's watching, as though, you know, he's going to send Mark home defeated. This should be entertaining.
He definitely knows the game after playing it 4 times. Hopefully Mark can learn the game as quickly as Fred was able to.
I don't think it's about learning. I think it's more... Oh, and they're even
calling it in the air.
Flipping coin to see who plays
and
first.
it looks like Fred won, but...
Or lost.
No, Fred won.
He wanted
He
to go
will
first.
take first.
All right, so again, to remind people, or maybe you didn't see it, this particular Centaur is set up on much harder settings than what you'll generally see out in the wild, in that the orbs do not carry over, and neither does the bonus until maxed. That's usually a good way to get some points early. Doesn't matter because the Fred's curse has continued on ball 1 for Centaur.
And now Mark Steinman is up to flip. Starts off with a quick 2x multiplier. And what do you think he's going to aim for?
You know, everyone was talking about, you know, you want to go for your orbs. I mean, you got to get multiple balls in play, whether it be right off the bat by doing it in order or whether it be building it up and trying to collect it after the fact. You know, again, we did talk about the underutilization of the, you know, the drops on the left and the right.
It looked like he was aiming for the drops on the right.
Pretty even after ball 1. Anyone's game still. Mark does not want to go home defeated. Oh, no.
Ooh.
It does, you know, and you can generally see which in lane's easier usually on a Centaur to save. It does appear that the left is pretty difficult on this one. I've seen several saves off the right.
Yeah, whatever goes through the left out lane, I haven't really seen too many come through the gate to be put back into play, but out the right, it seems to be more convenient for the player, especially on this one.
He's got 2 of his orbs letters there in order. Notice they're in order because they're flashing and not solid.
Utilizing the Magna save.
There is no Magna save on this game. That was just...
Sorry.
There's
He tilts.
Oh no, and he had orb spelled in order.
Bad move, human.
Still has a lead here. It's a dangerous feat on this game when it comes off that left loop down.
Yes, we've actually seen a fair share of no flips.
Trying to get his orbs again. He wants that multi-ball. It can be worth a lot of points. You can add your bonus real quick.
Oh, he tried to do a dead pass by letting it bounce off of the right flipper over to the left flipper.
And we just had a post here where Mark's wife is saying she would make him sleep on the games. Fortunately, that's not going to have to happen tonight. Mark was able to pull it out. He does the gentlemanly thing and plunges it off.
He's trying to take my job.
I thought he tilted.
Yes, JetBlue was asking, drops must be in order left to right in order for you to get the instant multi-ball. You can spell it out of order, and again, it'll give you an orb held for collection later off of one of the ways to release balls, either by hitting the right target when you have release lit, or by completing the left drops and then hitting it all the way up to complete the target off the captive ball to release as well. But the only way to get the instant multi-ball by orbs is in order ORBS.
Don't forget about the blue on the in lanes. The in lanes and the out lanes.
They're calling
There's
for a
one
best
right
of
there.
3, actually, and the first game didn't take all that long. And Mark may be able to do the best of 3 right here.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Fred's pretty good at this game, even though he's not showing that to us tonight.
Bonus X, is it carrying over? Again, no. This is one of the more difficult settings on this particular one, the way it's set up. Apparently, from experience on it earlier, which I didn't see it, but they did realize that the way it's currently set up is it's only carrying over when maxed out at this point.
So just to give a quick shout out, I'm wearing my Project Pinball shirt tonight, as I promised I would do on this broadcast. And look up Project Pinball on the internet. It's a great charity for pinball. And also next week we will be doing another broadcast, and we will be featuring the new code of Star Trek, hopefully, assuming we can get it installed on our Star Trek. And Fred's doing his best to make this a very short match. Hey, Chris, how do you feel about those saves you were making on Mystic earlier?
I noticed that I could move the machine around a little bit, but whenever I practiced it earlier, I was tilting it. So I kind of took a little bit off and concentrated more from left to right, and it was working for me. So thought I'd try and see if I can pull them off, and I actually ended up doing a couple.
It does seem that the left to right shimmy, although not utilized as much as the vertical nudge, does help with those kind of walkouts when it's in further danger. The left to right quick but subtle shimmies seem to be able to walk that ball out very effectively.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite moves.
Yes, I definitely feel like I've learned it from John. Such a gentleman.
Not, unfortunately. And it looks like we're getting closer to even here at ball 2, and in fact, with that shot, Mark has just surpassed Freddy Classics Cochran.
He also has his release lit, but he has no orbs prepared, and he drains.
Interesting, and you may know this, I'm not sure. If your release is lit without orbs, will it still give you one?
I do not believe so.
No, it won't give you a release unless you have orbs.
It will catch it on the magnet and then drop it back down again.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's sort of mean, isn't it?
It is mean.
Does that actually keep the release lit? John, can you answer that for me?
I don't think it does, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
And it looks like Fred
And,
was the unfortunate end of a bally brick off the O.
Mark Steinman emerges victorious.
That was a very nice O drain.
Yeah, oh, look, we have a trophy presentation ceremony here. Fred's going to do the delivery of the trophy presentation ceremony.
Fill it with your tears, Fred.
And
Look at
congratulations, Mark.
No
So-
pinball bed for you tonight.
Well, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in this week. It's been a lot of fun spending some time with you. We look forward to doing it with you again. From Nick Jaquay, Brian Tessier, Fred Cochran, Mark Steinman, Chris Stevens, Al Tomka, and myself, John Replogle. What's that? Good grief.
He wants more.
We'd like to wish you a great night. And remember, happy flipping and play some pinball.
Definitely. Take care, everyone.